Well, welcome along to Snetterton, everybody. Day 2 here for the Finecut Radical Championship for the UK. It is round 8 of the championship. It's our second sprint race that is coming up, but already we've had an issue on the formation lap as the cars have been coming out of the pit lane area, and you can see that Paul Denning, who was scheduled to have lined up on the front row of the grid, has had a problem. So he is in need of the marshals extracting him from the grass where he's come to rest. I would imagine probably just trying to warm up the tyres and maybe just got caught out on some cold Hankook slick tyres. No damage to the car or any obvious signs of it. Hopefully he'll be able to start, but on the basis of that all the rest of the field have gone past him, he will not be able to take up his true grid position. Let me guide you through the grid. We haven't got a graphic for it, but let me guide you through the grid. Pole position is the number 3 car of Marcus Littlewood, and alongside is the car that we've just seen up against the barriers, but thankfully avoiding them, I believe, car number 25, Paul Denning. Row 2 of the grid will be the 21 of Jack Yang, alongside number 4, which is Andy Lowe, and row 3 will be 14, John McLeod, and 56, which is Rachel Robertson. Row 4 of the grid is 41, Jake Williamson. Had a good run in yesterday's race where he finished in 5th place. Alongside him is Hamish Forrest. There we go. Paul Denning is able to get going. He'll need to catch the pack, but there's no obvious signs of damage to his SR3. The 1500cc motor should allow him to catch up with the pack. So yeah, it's going to be Jake Williamson and Hamish Forrest on that 4th row of the grid. Row 5 of the grid is number 5, Alex Fisher, and 51, which is Flame Auricola. Row 6 of the grid is number 11, which is John Davis, and number 20, which is Laura O'Connell today. We saw Jordan Duishka driving that car yesterday. Then it's going to be number 22, which is Rebecca Franklin, who is making her way at reduced pace by the look of things round through Agostini. And then James Pinkerton, who is the head of design and development for Radical Sports Cars, does what he usually does in the development car. He'll be starting from the pit lane. So I think he's at the back of the train that's out there circulating, but he'll dive down the pit lane and actually let the race get underway, and then he'll start from the pit lane so he doesn't get involved in the championship squabbles. Yesterday, Marcus Littlewood took the win. His black and day-glow orange car starts from pole position today. It was his 6th win of the championship season yesterday. He had Hamish Forrest and Rachel Robertson finishing 2nd and 3rd places respectively. For Hamish Forrest, that was his 5th podium of the season so far. For Rachel Robertson, 2 podiums, but 2 podiums on the bounce. She won in the pit stop race at Brands Hatch, which was the last race we had prior to coming to Norfolk, and then she won the first of the races that we had here at Snetterton yesterday. We've got 2 races today. This is the sprint race. The pit stop race will take place later on today. So the field is fully formed. A couple of stragglers starting to catch up. Rebecca Franklin and Paul Denning will be catching the pack. But we've got 20 minutes on the clock, and Marcus Littlewood, in reality, is on his own now on the front row of the grid. We are going to have a second lap behind the safety car because of those problems. Will the clock start ticking when they come over the start-finish line? In answer to that is, no, it does not. It stays at 20 minutes, the clock at the moment, so we will have a second formation lap to allow everybody to catch up. So we can still see in the background, I can see Paul Denning trying to catch the pack. He will catch it this time through, but what he should not do is overtake anybody. He should stay at the very back of the field because he had the problem, because he had the spin. My understanding and the regulations are right is if the whole field passes you, you then cannot take up your correct grid position. So Paul Denning, rather than starting 2nd, is going to be starting off the tail end of the field, and the car that was at reduced speed, which is Becky Franklin, I think is heading in towards retirement at the end of the Bentley Straight. So she's doing the sensible thing, realising that there's a problem with the car that she's not going to be able to sort out on circuit, so she parks the car behind the barriers. So unfortunately, that is 1 absentee before we get the race underway. So it's going to make it interesting to watch Paul Denning's charge through the field, I would have thought. He's almost caught the pack. There you can see at the back of the field, the black car with the multicoloured livery to it has now caught the pack, and Paul, with his experience, well aware that, yep, he shouldn't overtake the rest of the field. He knows that the task in hand, which will be to try and overtake everybody once the race gets underway. So we'll have this second lap behind the safety car. Coming into this weekend, Marcus Littlewood leading the championship. He was on 319 championship points coming into this weekend. Hamish Forrest was 2nd in the championship for Radical Racing Rebels on 244 championship points. And long-time Radical racer John McLeod was 3rd in the championship on 215 points, just 10 points ahead of Rachel Robertson, who is 4th in the championship, and 5th in the championship on 178 is Alex Fisher, but he was only just ahead of Andy Lowe. There wasn't many points between those two. After here at Snetterton, then the next round takes place away in mainland Europe. It's at Circuit Zandvoort for the Zandvoort Summer Trophy. and that will be over the weekend of the 12th and the 13th of July before they return to the UK for the remaining championship rounds, which will be Silverstone Grand Prix circuit in early August, and then Donington Park in the middle part of September on the 20th and 21st of September. So the Hyundai safety car just bringing the pack round through Brundle and through Nelson should extinguish its lights hopefully this time through, and that will be the indication that we are going to be good to go racing at the end of this lap. So a little bit of weaving from side to side just to try and build a bit of temperature into the control Hankook slick tyres that all of the cars run. They're permitted to use a maximum number of tyres of 6 per event, so 6 tyres is the maximum that you can utilise in any one racing weekend, and you think that's qualifying, that's 2 sprint races, and that's a pit stop race as well. You're very limited on the amount of tyres that you can utilise, so tyre management is a consideration over the weekend. Maybe less so yesterday with the unusual conditions that we had. I think it was largely dry for the racing, but it was certainly damp for some parts of qualifying, so the cars may well have opted for the wets in some of the sessions that we've had. But it's beautiful conditions, they'll all be on the slicks for this one, and let's have another go then at getting the race underway. 20 minutes on the clock, Marcus Littlewood on his own on the front row of the grid. It's Jack Yang and Andy Lowe that sit there on row number 2. Jack Yang's car is white with green and red, and Andy Lowe's is the orange machine. Red lights on the gantry, they disappear out, and we're away and racing for the second time this weekend in the Finecut Radical UK Championship, with Marcus Littlewood leading the charge up towards Ritchie's for the first time. Jack Yang there in second place, but to driver's left is Andy Lowe, who's braving it out around the outside at Ritchie's, but the outside at Ritchie's still remains to be the outside when you head in towards the braking area for the Wilson hairpin. So Andy Lowe is trying to see what he might be able to do, and he has made it through. He's up into second, Jack Yang down into third place, and John McLeod right the way around the outside in the Dayglow green car up into fourth position, and ahead of Rachel Robertson is that, who's there in 5th place, but has got a teammate right behind her, which is Hamish Forrest. The easiest way to tell those 2 identically liveried cars apart is if it's got the white crash helmet, it's Rachel. If it's the black crash helmet, it'll be Hamish Forrest. Up towards the braking area for Agostini, and John McLeod another place gained up the inside of Jack Yang, who had problems yesterday. Got a reasonable start, Jack Yang, but then struggled a little bit and ultimately brought the car in towards the pit lane towards the end of the race. He's already lost a couple of places and is coming under pressure to maybe lose further places up towards Oggies, and Rachel Robertson tries to sneak her way up the inside to see if she can squeeze her way through and past Jack Yang. Jack Yang just about sticking his elbows out and hanging on to the position, and now Rachel Robertson from attack is maybe having to consider defence because she's got Hamish Forrest right behind her. They sit in the slipstream of Jack Yang and will try and jink their way out to see if they can propel themselves up into 4th place. And when they get to the end of the Bentley Straight, it is Jack Yang that still just has his nose ahead of the 2 Radical Racing Rebels cars, but there's going to be a change in the order of those 2 as under braking Hamish Forrest sneaks his way through and ahead of his teammate. Rachel Robertson losing a place, and now coming under pressure from Paul Denning, the man who should have started on the front row of the grid, but of course with that spin on the formation lap had to start off the very, very back of the grid in reality, and is trying to carve his way through the order. So Paul Denning in yesterday's race ultimately finished in 11th position. Wasn't really the race that he wanted, with some problems late on. So over the start-finish line they go. Marcus Littlewood leading the way. Andy Lowe in 2nd place and leading the Fangio Trophy for the drivers that were aged over 50 at the beginning of the championship season. Paul Denning, having started off the back of the order, has made some good progress in this one. Number 25 car, and he is starting to work his way through the order. So out of the Wilson hairpin. Not sure the transponder's working on Paul Denning's car because it's still showing him down in 13th. Right now they've slotted in him, he's in 7th place, so yes, might have lost 5 places from where he should have started, but he's made good progress from the tail end of the order, and I don't think Paul Denning has done as yet. Andy Lowe, John McLeod, Hamish Forrest under attack from Jack Yang as they turn their way through the left-hander at Agostini. So Jack Yang down into what now, 5th position, isn't he? Then it's Paul Denning who is now ahead of Rachel Robertson, so keep an eye towards that black car with the red and the yellow and the purple flashes down the side of it, because Paul Denning is pushing hard here. He has gained another position, that's now up inside the top 6, and well, if he can just edge himself away from Rachel Robertson, which is looking as though what he's doing, he's at 2 or 3 radical lengths further up the road already. Focus for him will be try and close in on the next car that he's looking to try and catch, which will be the number 21 car in the hands of Jack Yang, who's done a chunk of racing not just here in the UK over the years, but also out in the North American Championship for Radical. And we've seen him in the Radical Gulf Cup as well in the past, based out in the Middle East, whether it be Dubai or Abu Dhabi, amongst others. So out of the bomb hole, up towards the never-ending right-hand sweep at Coreham, and coming under pressure is Andy McLeod here. So Andy McLeod at the wheel of the number 14 car has got his hands rather full. He's got Hamish Forrest right behind him. But for Andy McLeod, what he'll want to do is try and stay in touch with the orange car that lies ahead, which is Andy Lowe. So, sorry, John McLeod will want to stay in touch with Andy Lowe. Through and over the start-finish line. There goes number 5. That's Alex Fisher. He's having a good fight with Flame Auricola, who is the granddaughter of Penty Auricola, the former British rally champion from the latter part of the 1970s, and did win the Lombard RAC Rally, did Penty Auricola. But Flame Auricola, who we saw out at Donington Park, sharing a car, doing good things while sharing the car at Donington Park, finished inside the top 6, I think, in one of the races at Donington Park. Flame driving solo this weekend, and going very well indeed. So, looking to see if she can squeeze her way through and past Alex Fisher. Hasn't been able to do it as yet. Alex Fisher, new to Radicals this year. He's driving the car that in the past we saw being driven by Adrian Hallmark, who at the time that he was racing in Radicals was the CEO of Bentley. I think he's the CEO of Aston Martin nowadays. So it's the ex-Adrian Hallmark car that he drives. 15 minutes to go. The fight most definitely on for the final 2 places inside the top 10. This is 9th and 10th place that are fighting as they head out of Williams. Marcus Littlewood, the race leader in the meantime, all of the time just edging away. It's 7.2 seconds the lead advantage now between himself and Andy Lowe. The rest of the field all heading round through Brundle and Nelson. Andy Lowe, John McLeod, followed by then Hamish Forrest. Remember, Hamish has had a good run of podiums so far this year. Didn't finish on the podium in the first of the races that we had of the season at Donington Park, but then was second in the other 2 races at Donington. He was second in the first 2 races at Brands, but then just missed out on the podium, finishing 4th in the pit stop race at Brands Hatch. And yesterday he finished second overall, and at the moment is just sitting off the podium here in 4th place, but is looking to try and mount a challenge on John McLeod as they head up towards the braking area for Ritchie's corner. Good speed through there. Of course, he's in the dirty air of the car ahead. Carries good momentum into and out of the corner, and the former factory kart racing driver is going to squeeze his way at the inside of John McLeod. Yep, through he goes up the inside at Wilson, gains the place up to 3rd. John McLeod down to 4th. He's got Jack Yang just behind him as well, and then just off that is going to be Paul Denning, remember, still trying to make progress following his problems on the formation lap. So keep an eye towards Paul Denning at the tail end of this quintet of cars. Up towards the braking area for Agostini. Andy Lowe still in 2nd position. The best result we've had from Andy Lowe so far is a 4th place so far this year, and that came in the opening round of the championship as well at Donington Park on the 29th of March was the opening round of the 2025 Finecut Radical UK Championship. So if Andy Lowe can finish 2nd, he'd be absolutely delighted with that. 5 years of experience of racing these cars now, having originally graduated out of the Radical SR1 Cup, I think, Andy Lowe, if memory serves me correctly. Down the Bentley straight they'll go. Andy Lowe, the orange car, coming under pressure from the black and the teal coloured car of Hamish Forrest, who is getting ever closer to him. Wasn't quite close enough by the time they got towards the end of the Bentley straight, so just going to have to keep his powder dry for the moment because the bomb hole isn't really an overtaking opportunity. You can overtake going round through Coreham and in towards Murray's, but you're better to leave it until the exit of the corner and get a good run down the centre straight. And Hamish Forrest at the moment is in full attack mode as they head round through Coreham. Is he going to try anything at Murray's? Yes, he does. He sneaks up the inside. He's going to have the apex. Andy Lowe's nothing he can do about it. He's run out a little bit wide and onto the grass. That's going to slow his pace. So 1 place lost, and now that he's lost the momentum, John McLeod is looking to try and capitalise on that as they head down the centre straight. Can John McLeod in the white and the Dayglow green car squeeze his way through? No, he's not close enough as they head up towards Ritchie's. So Hamish Forrest up to 2nd, Andy Lowe down to 3rd and still on for a first podium, but John McLeod sneaks his way through, and Paul Denning's going through as well by the look of things, is he? Andy Lowe breaks as late as he possibly can for the Wilson hairpin, loses out to John McLeod. He's surely going to lose out to Paul Denning. Yep, back on the grass on the exit of the corner, so another 2 places lost, more momentum lost, and now Jack Yang is looking to try and wiggle his way through if at all possible. So brilliant stuff. But Andy Lowe at the moment, with a couple of overtakes just forcing him wide on the exit of corners, no longer in 2nd place. He's now down into 5th position at this stage, and has still got 2 more cars queuing up behind his orange and white SR3. First of which will be Jack Yang, the second of which will be the number 56 car in the hands of the Scottish woman, Rachel Robertson. So through Oggies, up towards Williams once more. Make sure you get a good run coming out of this corner, because you need to carry the momentum all the way down the Bentley Straight and in towards the really difficult braking area for Brundle and Nelson, because you sort of get to underneath the vehicle bridge, and at that point you need to be braking a little bit, but you also need to be turning the car. And the one thing you really don't want to be doing in a racing car is braking and turning at the same time, but onto the brakes a little bit, bleed back off them, get the car turned in, and then back on the brakes again, down a couple of gears, or maybe one gear, pitch it in towards Nelson, and then try and hook up the exit and get a good run through what is pretty much flat out through the bomb hole. A big spin, and that's John McLeod that's gone round through the bomb hole. Daunting corner. It's pretty much flat in these cars. John McLeod trying to fire up the engine, trying to get the car hooked up, but he's going to tumble down through the order. So no longer is he fourth. He's going to be probably outside of the top 10 by the time he gets the car fired up, and that is going to give him a lot of work to do in the remaining 10.5 minutes of this 8th round of the championship. So over the start-finish line goes Jack Yang. He's now up into 3rd place. Gained 3 places was all of that, with other people being delayed. Where is Paul Denning? I think, yeah, he's still got transponder issues. He's showing down in 10th position, but he's certainly not. I think our timekeepers will correct that and will make sure that he is reinserted back into his correct position. Squabbles further down through the order still going on. We picked up on Alex Fisher fighting away with Flame Auricular earlier. And well, John McLeod is still stationary at that part of the circuit. Maybe a bit of heat soak is preventing that engine from starting, or maybe it was a sort of issue that pitched him into the spin in the first place. But if he can't get that started, I don't see what they can do other than go safety car, because he's a long, long way away from where the marshal's post would be at that point. And it certainly wouldn't be safe for the marshals to venture out from where they are to try and assist him. So I think, yeah, confirmation that safety car is coming out. The safety car will be heading out onto circuit. And for Marcus Littlewood, that now means that what was a 15-second gap between himself and the second place car of Hamish Forrest is all going to come to nothing. There's no obvious signs of any damage to John McLeod, so I'm not sure at all there was any contact. The rear wing is still in place, so it wasn't as though there was a sort of failure there that pitched him into the spin. I suspect it was probably just a very small mistake, maybe too much curb on the exit or something, or the exit that just unsettled him, but that's a very uncharacteristic mistake from John McLeod. And of course, if he could get that engine fired up, he would absolutely do it, but for whatever reason, the engine doesn't want to fire up. So, safety car comes out. It is just making sure it waves by Laura O'Connell, that will be the young Irish lady, to then make sure that it is the race leader that's lined up behind the Hyundai Ioniq 5N safety car. 8 minutes and 22 seconds to go. Shouldn't take long to get John McLeod's car recovered, providing, of course, that it is in a neutral gear. So if not, then John might be able to just remain behind the wheel of it, dip the clutch, and that might be sufficient just to tow him out of the way. That would be the ideal solution, just tow that car out of the way. If there's any indication that it might be locked in a gear, then of course that's going to be a longer recovery. It would need the high-up to drop it onto the flatbed or something like that, but hopefully it's just a quick connect it to the end of the tow rope and move him out of the way. John trudges rather disconsolately across the Norfolk countryside to the relative safety behind the barriers, and then we'll have to wait and see as and when we get a shot as to what the fantastic Snetterton marshals and rescue and recovery crews are going to do to remove his stricken car. It's a big disappointment for John McLeod, who was hoping to try and scoop up another victory in the Fangio Trophy. He's had 3 overall podiums so far this year as John McLeod. He'd had 6 wins in the Fangio Trophy, which, as I say, is for drivers who run in the solo class and are aged 50 or older at the start of the championship season. So the start of 2025, but it is not going to be the result that he wanted today. And it does look as though John's going back to the car, which means he's probably fairly satisfied that a tow might just be the job. Rather than have to lift it onto the flatbed recovery unit, they will do this as quickly as they possibly can. They should drag him along the grass, because there's a big area on the inside of Coram where they can safely park the car. And if he's on the end of the tow rope, they'll probably make sure that they move him entirely behind the barriers. But depending on how quickly they can do that, there might be the requirement for another lap behind the safety car, because of course we need to make sure that the car is behind the barriers, the recovery truck is behind the barriers, any marshals or officials dealing with it are behind the barriers, and only then will be good to go racing. And with the safety car already down at the bottom of the Bentley Straight, it's going to be, I would say, a bit too tight to do it this lap, but we'll wait and see. If the lights go off on the safety car, we know we're good to go. If the lights remain on, we will have one further lap, and I think it's probably going to, unfortunately, have to be the latter, which means that by the time then we go back racing, we should be able to squeeze in probably 2 further laps of racing, one would hope. So, the car is still there. Has it now fired its way into life? It might have done, you know. No, it's not. It's on the end of the tow rope, I think. So, no, they're going to move that car out of harm's way. And where are they going to bring it? Are they going to bring it onto the grass on the infield, or if the safety car's only gone by, they've got sufficient time, should they wish to bring that car all the way back round and into the pit lane area to get it totally out of harm's way. We'll wait and see. The clock still continues to tick. Let me just run you down through the order then whilst we remain under safety car. It is the number 3 car of Marcus Littlewood, the championship leader, that leads the way and is looking to try and scoop up, if he can, his 7th championship win of the season. In second place, it's number 95, Hamish Forrest, and third is 21, Jack Yang. Fourth is number 4, which is Andy Lowe. He leads the Fangio Trophy category at this stage. Fifth place is number 56, which is Rachel Robertson. And in 6th position, that's number 41, which is the American driver that joins us for this weekend, which is Jake Williamson. At 7th place is number 5, Alex Fisher. He was having a good battle, wasn't he, with the car that was trying to steal 7th from him, but still remains in 8th, which is the number 51 car of Flame Auricola. James Pinkerton, who started from the pit lane in the development car, number 99, is there in 9th place. And the black car with the gold flashes to it at the tail end of the field, John Davis, completes the top 10 at this stage. So that's the order that they are in for the moment. Rebecca Franklin, who I think we saw stop out on circuit, did make it back out, so her car is running, but is a lap off the lead at the moment in 11th position, and Laura O'Connell is there in 12th place. Paul Denning, who had been making good progress following his spin on the formation lap through the order, has also disappeared somewhere, so he has only now completed 5 laps and is missing somewhere. So whether he's dived into the pit lane because his transponder wasn't working, it's difficult to know. So 4 minutes remaining on the clock. I suspect the clearing up has all been dealt with. So I'm hearing that the car has been brought into a safe place on the inside of Coram. So John McLeod is now safely out of harm's way. The recovery truck should be safely out of harm's way, which means we should be good to go racing this next time through. So the car's just heading out of Williams and onto the Bentley Straight. Still a couple of cars in the background of the shot needing to catch up, one of which will be Sarah Franklin, the other of which will be Laura O'Connell, I would have thought. The black car with the yellow stripe down it will be Becky Franklin. The orange car will be Laura O'Connell, and hopefully they will catch the pack before the safety car peels its way into the pit lane, because it'd be nice to have everybody bunched back up again for this restart, for which I said I thought we would get 2 laps in. I think I'll still remain with that. I think we'll get 2 further racing laps in as and when we go green again. Now, when the safety car peels its way into the pit lane, there'll be no overtaking until the cars reach the control line. So you cannot overtake until you reach the start-finish line. You can be tucked up right underneath or even alongside, but you can't have your nose ahead when you get to the control line. And as the safety car accelerates, it's up to Marcus Littlewood to almost dictate the pace now. It's up to him as to when he wants to get the restart back underway. Once he's started to accelerate, he's got to go. You can't sort of accelerate and then brake and accelerate and then brake. You've got to keep a steady pace, and then when you go, you need to go. And for Marcus Littlewood, I would say either any second now or when he gets to the exit of Murray's is when he would want to do it. And when has he gone for it? He's gone for it now. Yep, so there you go. And a really good restart from him. You can see already that Hamish Forrest was a little bit slower away and is coming under pressure from Jack Yang for second position as they come over the start-finish line. We get the race back underway, and Marcus Littlewood has got no real pressure straight away. You can see that there's daylight between himself and the chasing pack behind, and Jack Yang is looking to try and reassert himself back up through the order at the expense of Hamish Forrest, but for the moment it's still Hamish Forrest that sits there in second place, Jack Yang in third, and Andy Lowe dives up the inside of Jack Yang heading in towards the Wilson hairpin, locks the brakes, overtakes on the way in, carries too much apex speed, loses it on the way out, so from 4th to 3rd to 4th in the blink of an eye in reality for Andy Lowe. who is desperate to try and secure his first podium of the 2025 Finecut Radical UK Championship season. But he needs to be careful. If he tries something again and it doesn't work, he's got Rachel Robertson right behind him. And then also, I think that's Jake Williamson, isn't it, that's next up. He has another nibble as they head through Agostini, and he's almost got the overlap on Jack Yang. There's very little daylight between the pair of them, but he's made it through. Andy Lowe's now back up into third position. Jack Yang's down into fourth, and has got Rachel Robertson breathing down his neck as they head up towards the braking area for Oggies. So Rachel, who's had 2 back-to-back podiums, third yesterday, third in the previous race that we had to the visit to Snetterton. That was at Alton Park in the pit stop race. She'd desperately like to try and get back on the podium again if she can, but she's running in 5th place at the moment, so has got a chunk of work to do and an ever diminishing amount of time in which to do it. So down towards the bottom of the Bentley straight, Rachel Robertson trying to apply as much pressure as she can to Jack Yang to see whether there's a chink in the armour or a mistake. He runs a little bit wide through Nelson, but that didn't really compromise his exit speed. He's flat out through the bomb hole. And then as they head up towards the end of this lap, they'll be heading on to their final lap of the race this next time through. So away is Hamish Littlewood in the lead of the race. He's such a good restart from him. Hamish Forrest has disappeared up the road, and this is now the main battle, 3rd, 4th, 5th all together. Not that far off them is also the 6th place car, which is Jake Williamson. But onto his final lap of the race goes Marcus Littlewood. Through goes Hamish Forrest, and here comes Andy Lowe, Jack Yang and Rachel Robertson all together as they work their way through Ritchie's. You can see a bit of mid-corner steering input required from Rachel Robertson there just to make sure that the car was settled. Again, Andy Lowe almost outbrakes himself there. Jack Yang was sort of almost lulled into it as well. So the two of them just running a little bit wide and not quite apexing appropriately. So Rachel Robertson was able to just edge ever closer to them. And as they now turn their way out of Palmer, this is the fight for what in reality is the final podium spot. There's 4 cars all within touching distance of each other, so one driver's going to grab a podium, the others won't. Jack Yang lock brakes, the car gets a little bit sideways on him. Rachel Robertson tries to capitalise on that. She gets a much better run through Agostini. Jack Yang tries to fend her off and just manages to do so as they head up towards the left-hand kink at Hamilton. So Jack Yang now having to defend, and that's just allowed Andy Lowe to edge away, and in 3rd place is looking slightly more secure now. As you can see, it's an extra 3, 4 maybe radical lengths that he's gained over Jack Yang because of that small issue. And then with Jack Yang having to move over to protect the run that Rachel Robertson had, all of a sudden Andy Lowe is able to breathe a sigh of relief in reality. So down towards the bottom of the Bentley straight for the final time they'll go. Jack Yang under big pressure, the car again just moving around on him. Not entirely sure he's happy with the way the car's reacting to his inputs at the moment. Rachel Robertson also trying to attack and defend at the same time because she's got Jake Williamson at the wheel of the number 41 car right behind in the hands of the American. But for Marcus Littlewood, he is on course for another win, and it's going to be win number 7 of the championship season in round number 8 of the Finecut Radical UK Cup for 2025. Marcus Littlewood claims the win and adds to the championship tally. In 2nd place is Hamish Forrest, as he was yesterday, and in 3rd place with his first podium of the 2025 championship season and a win in the Fangio Cup, it goes the way of Andy Lowe. Jack Yang 4th, Rachel Robertson 5th, and it will be Jake Williamson that will finish in 6th place. Andy Fisher and Flame Auricola still continued their brilliant fight that they were having for 7th and 8th place, and by less than a quarter of a second it was Alex Fisher that finished in 7th place, with Flame Auricola right behind in 8th place. John Davis in 9th place, and we should see Rebecca Franklin finish in 10th place, which, considering I thought on the formation lap she was probably going to be out of the race with those mechanical issues or whatever troubled her, she's had a good run in the end. She was pipped in the end by James Pinkerton, the number 99 car on that final lap, but she will pick up the points for 10th place because James Pinkerton is in the development car. He's the head of design and development for Radical and is non-championship scoring, so yeah, it will be 11th in the results, but it's 10th in terms of the championship scoring, which, as that's a sprint race, it's 40 for the win, 35 for second, 30 for third, 27, 24, 22, and so on. It diminishes from there. But for Marcus Littlewood, that is so far a perfect weekend. He won all 3 races in the opening weekend of racing at Donington Park, both sprint races and the pit stop race. Well, he's won both sprint races here. What can he do in the pit stop race later on? Let's confirm the results for you. Marcus Littlewood claims the win by nearly 4 seconds in the end from Hamish Forrest in 2nd place, and Andy Lowe for 360 competition, his first overall podium of the 2025 championship season. He also claims the win in the Fangio Trophy. 4th place for Jack Yang ahead of Rachel Robertson and Jake Williamson, who completed the top 6. Alex Fisher and Flame Auricola were 7th and 8th place, with John Davis in 9th. and James Pinkerton completed the top 10. As we move outside of the top 10, Rebecca Frankland was in 11th place ahead of Laura O'Connell, the Irish lady who finished in 12th place. And there were problems for Paul Denning and problems which brought about that safety car for the car of John McLeod. So that is our second sprint race done and dusted. We've still got one further race coming up for you in the Finecut Radical Cup UK here at Snetterton, and that will be our pit stop race that will take place later on today. If you want to join us for that, set your alarms for about 2 o'clock this afternoon. The race is due to go green at 2:05, so set your alarms for 2 o'clock. Come and join us for the pit stop race. So from everybody here at Snetterton and the Finecut Radical Cup UK, we'll say goodbye for now, and we'll see you later on. Goodbye.